Brook City Limits, where it's all about the music.
This fall, the ballpark isn't closing for the season. It's waking up. Step beyond the gates and into Fright Nights at the Field. An immersive haunted experience where the roar of the crowd has been replaced by whispers in the dark. Wander through twisted tunnels, ghost-lit corridors, and the stadium itself. Now home to the things that never left. Live scare actors, movie-quality sets,
Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and out on another secret mission, as always, is JP Marzullo. We wish him well. He's throwing commies over the state line back into Massachusetts where they belong. We'll see him soon. Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades is sponsored by the Wilson Hill Pistol Club, the oldest sports shooting club in New Hampshire, located right here in Manchester at 1732 Lakeshore Road. And the website is on the bottom of your screen, wilsonhillpistol.org. We have open membership, unlike a lot of other firearms sports clubs in the state. We do not have a waiting list. Our membership meeting, all are welcome to come and join, is at 7 p.m. on the first Wednesday of every month, and that is tonight, right after this show. I will see you there. You can go to the website, you can see training, you can see our training schedule. The next training scheduled is for this Saturday, October 5th. Yep. Yes, I believe it is on Saturday. Sometimes it's on Sunday, but it's for this Saturday, October 5th, and it's the Fundamentals in Safety Training, the fast handgun course. It's a lowest level course, and it is being taught by one of our female instructors this time. So if you're female and you want to get comfortable with firearms and you're not comfortable working with male instructors, sometimes that's an issue. Sometimes it's an anxiety thing, a nervousness thing. We do have female instructors, and she will be teaching this Saturday. Again, go to our website or come to the meeting tonight. Today we have a returning guest, one of our favorite guests, Representative Lisa Mazur. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there? I guess that's what we're all doing nowadays.
Yeah.
So, Lisa, the last time we had you on the show, we talked about a lot of great things, and we'll talk about some new updates to some of your bills, because there's some exciting news that you were telling me about that we'll talk about. But one other thing that kind of took place, and we talked about it briefly, but you had a little backlash in town that you went and spoke at a school board meeting. You spoke up about an issue that you're passionate about, and you are a representative of the town, a duly elected representative of the town. So your job is to speak up on behalf of people of the town, and you did so at a school board meeting, and 24 hours later, you were without a job.
Yeah, even less than 24 hours.
Right. So, and that was a devastating thing where folks in town who didn't agree with what you had to say, freedom of speech, First Amendment, folks here, right? Everybody's all about First Amendment, but then they want to punish you for it.
Yes.
And so, our friends on the other side of the aisle were celebrating the fact that you had lost your job.
Yep.
And that was a painful thing to take. I mean, it's hard. When anyone who's been laid off and suddenly without notice has no idea how they're going to pay their mortgage or put food on the table, because none of us have a long runway of cash put aside. If we did, we wouldn't be sitting here, right? So that was a kind of a devastating thing. We were discussing it. We were discussing options and whatnot. And you did find a new job.
Yeah, I did.
And so let's talk about that, because we didn't get a chance to talk about that, and then more devastation happened.
Yes. Yeah, so my sister actually is the one that helped guide me to where I am now. Is she found it was a job for a Turning Point Action field representative in a certain area of our state, and she sent me the link, and she's like, I don't know, Lisa, it looks exactly like right up your alley, because it kind of keeps you in the political lane, because she knows that that's kind of my passion, and yes, I loved my other job that I did, but people around me could tell I kind of light up around with anything politics. And so I was like, okay, what the heck? I'll try it out. Sent in an application, and they actually don't mess around with their hiring process. So it took like 3 interviews. And I ended up at the end of the summer starting at the new position. It was August 25th. Was my first day, and I had actually flown to Arizona because Turning Point Action's headquarters is in Phoenix, Arizona. So flew there on August 25th, was there for the whole week, and was in the class, and who walks in to the classroom but Charlie Kirk? And apparently that's not common that he's able to do that, because he used to travel so much. Right. He was all over the place. New people starting didn't get to meet him often. So the fact that he was in the office that day, and he was in headquarters doing his show that day. So he walked into the room, and there were several of us in the room for orientation, and he went around the room and said, like, tell me who you are and where you're from. And so he did, and then he came around to me, and I said I was the only one in the room from New Hampshire. And so when I said I was from here, his eyes lit up. Like, he was just, New Hampshire. And he stopped for a minute, and he said, do you think that we can like flip New Hampshire red in the future, and in 26 and 28? And I was like, you know what? I do think that's possible. I think we're on the cusp of something amazing. And so he's like, that's what I want to hear. And his eyes, he said, his last sentence to me was, I'm really excited about New Hampshire. And so I always remember that, because, just a week ago, he was supposed to be here he was supposed to do a debate at Dartmouth against Hassan Piker, and it was like, I think a week and a half later, and the unthinkable happened, and I watched it, because I was watching him doing his thing at the university that day, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and it was
a hard day for me.
Yeah, I still get emotional.
It was a Wednesday, so what's that, 3 weeks ago now? 4 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
I mean,
so, yeah, 4, yeah.
It was a Wednesday, so of course, I'm paying attention to the news. I'm doing show prep and whatnot.
Yeah.
And of course, this comes across the wire, and I was devastated. I could hardly speak on the show that night. It was obviously the topic, and I don't know. It was a very difficult day, but I can imagine how much more difficult it is for folks who work with him, have met him. Yeah. He was a very powerful voice, and rarely do we get voices like his.
Yeah.
He was very articulate, very quick, and very accurate.
Yes. Yeah.
He didn't make things up. We have a lot of our friends on the other side of the aisle who do exactly that. Yeah. And in fact, they make things up about him specifically, even in death. Yeah. And when we lose a voice like that, it's hard. It's hard.
It's devastating. I'm tearing up. I'm still
we feel
not.
a void.
Yep.
And I was personally wondering, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Because he was so powerful at bringing in the young voices, influencing the young voices, inspiring other podcasters around the country. Because we've got this slew of 16 and 17-year-old podcasters who are just smart as a whip, and they attribute, that to Charlie.
Yeah.
And so, how do we can't replace him? How do we move forward and keep getting that message and keep that momentum that he started? Because he's done a really great job for us.
Well, I'm wearing it on my bracelet.
So how do I, and I don't even work for him.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, how do we move forward? What's going to happen to Turning Point?
Well, I'm wearing it on.
You work for Turning Point.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yep. It's here. It's that happens because we are Charlie Kirk now. So we're all Charlie Kirk. So we're all now the ones who are going to use our voices to combat all the lies and the untruths and just all the nonsense, honestly, that he just spoke common sense into. He sat there and he didn't make fools of people. He was respectful in the way that he debated people. But he opened the door to conversation, and I think that's now it's hard because you see everything that's happening, and there's so much violence, and it's being targeted at people trying to use their voices, and so it's kind of. I'm seeing some people become very fearful of moving into those spaces. For example, being invited to a local campus for something, or even doing, a vigil for Charlie now. People are like, I'm afraid. And that's exactly what they want us to be. So that's what we have, though we have to move beyond that and not let us corner us into silence again. I mean, I see it kind of like what they did to us during, COVID is just, they tried to put us in these silent boxes and it because of fear, and this is becoming the same thing. And I'm like, so for those of us that remember that and really rose up during that time, that's when I became an activist, is during COVID. And so just remembering that we cannot, and I said after that, never again. We're never going to let that happen again. Never going to be bullied into silence again. And that's what they're doing now, except now their lives are at stake for people that are using their voices. A lot of people ask me, why Turning Point too, is because, like you said, is I noticed leading up to the November election last year, is I was watching Turning Point, I was watching Charlie, having a job with them was not on my horizon or at all, but I was fascinated by how he was entering these spaces, college campuses, that conservatives have dared never to enter before. That he was the first one doing that kind of thing. And not only that was he entering those spaces, he was having conversations with that demographic that our party had never had before. And I loved that. And, obviously I'm not Gen Z or anything like that, but I love that those conversations were just exploding. And I truly believe, and even President Trump believes, that Charlie and Turning Point helped him win that election because of the turn in the Gen Z voter turnout at the polls. And you saw the excitement on the campuses. You just see the energy. And I'm sure we'll talk about Charlie's memorial service in Arizona, but that energy is something I think that we all kind of built a compartment in our heart that we're going to keep that energy in because we felt it that day, and that's what we're going to use to move forward.
That's what I was referring to, is how do we keep that going?
Yeah.
And so how does Turning Point move forward? Because there's two things here, right? The first thing is we have the mainstream media and all of the liars on the left that are spreading false rumors and have been spreading false information about Charlie all along, which is exactly why he's gone.
Yes.
Is because the people who hated him for things that he never did or said.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to perpetuate that. So the first hurdle is before we get back to the message that Charlie was sending, because he was talking about every subject under the sun.
Yep.
When he invited folks to come and debate him, he said, if you disagree with me, you go to the front of the line. Right? He was not afraid to go as uncomfortable as you possibly could with any subject, right? And it was any subject, whether it be race, class, sexual orientation, the Bible, politics, Israel, NATO. I mean, he himself had. He had some concerns about national security type issues, but those types of things that he was concerned about don't seem to be the mainstream of what's going on right now. What's going on right now is this is all fresh.
Yep.
And so we're still in a defensive mode. You don't understand who Charlie was. And the lies that you think you know about him need to be reversed. We need to tell the truth about who he was, and we need to get past that and then back on to all of the issues that he was trying to push forward. But we right now it's still about him, and we have to kind of honor that, but get past it. Do you see what I'm saying? We have to move past it back to the issues.
Well,
how does Turning Point do that? Like, what's the path forward?
Well, I think we have a fantastic leader in his wife, Erica. I mean, she's no doormat, and she's already stepping up to lead us in ways that I can't imagine how she's doing it. She's shown a strength of character, but she knows why she's doing it and why she has to do it. And, she was just on with Megyn Kelly, amazing. And other people are stepping up into taking Charlie's spots on the tour that he was supposed to go on, and I think that's how we keep it going.
A bunch of big names that are actually going to fill in,
and that's how we keep it going. Is we don't, and the natural tendency is to just cancel everything and just revamp this whole thing, but and that's why Turning Point is doing so well right now, is because, yes, we lost this incredible leader, but we knew what his mission was, and I've only been there for a short time, and I already know what mine is. So I already know what I'm supposed to do in New Hampshire, why I'm doing it, and how important it is. And I've hardly been there for any time at all. So you can imagine the people that have been alongside him from the beginning. They know exactly what Charlie wanted to do and how to keep it going, and they're doing that. And they're fearful. I mean, I just watched Crowder and others walking onto a campus with a bulletproof vest underneath and hiring more security and all of that. But he's stepping out anyway, and I have such respect for that. And all these speakers and there was just a bomb threat the other night at a university, at the Utah University, where Charlie was scheduled to speak at, but it was a sold-out crowd anyway. And that's what I think we have a lot to be proud of right now, is we are still moving forward. We're still holding these events and not letting them get shut down by these extreme leftists that want to silence our voices, because they knew how powerful Charlie's voice was. And I think they're realizing, that they blew it, because, from what we saw at that memorial service, the reach that service got, 100 million people. Just think of who watched that. And, there was story after story. My husband and I were at one of the tables at the memorial. We were up on the concourse working a table. So in Arizona, you can register voters, unlike here in New Hampshire, right at the tables there. And there was a girl that came up to me, and she just flipped parties right then and there, and said she was taking even a new faith journey in life because of Charlie's, how Charlie and his story just affected her. And there's thousands and millions of stories just like that. So you're seeing something. I felt a shift, not only in that room on the day of his memorial in that stadium. I felt a shift in the room. I felt a shift in the entire world that day. I don't think there's anyone that didn't. Like, something changed there was a vibe, or it. Yeah. And I think we're still on it because, as you can imagine, so I get home to New Hampshire, and we started a Facebook page here in New Hampshire, Turning Point Action New Hampshire, and it started the day before Charlie was assassinated, to 120 people, and our goal by the end of December was to build it to 1,000. That was a big goal for us, and we're at almost 4,000 now. And so everything's just, and there's only 2 of us on the Turning Point Action staff right now in New Hampshire. So, we are hiring and all, but so we're trying to keep up with the momentum that had been going before Charlie was killed. Right. But now more people they want to. They're carrying this message. You can see all the freedom shirts out there. This is our Turning Point shirts. I see them everywhere. You should see them in the airport when I was traveling. Like, this is a movement, I'm calling it that, of people that they're not going to let it up anytime soon, and it's going to carry us for a long time.
Yeah, and this hopefully we do continue carrying this, and. Like you said, it was a mistake for the left to celebrate Charlie's death. Yeah. Because first off, it devastated those of us who already understood who he was and what he stood for. But it also motivated those of us who already knew who he was and what he stood for. Yeah. It exposed them for who they really are. Yeah. With their knee-jerk reactions, and that hurt them way more than it hurt us. They thought that they were hurting us, but they're the ones who were hurt. We've got news stories of lifelong Democrats, lifelong liberals who are saying, no, I'm done. Yep. I'm registering Republican. I'm voting Republican. Yep. I just heard that from Alan Dershowitz today. Yeah. Right? We're talking about names that that you would think, wait a minute, how is it that they're suddenly the voice of reason? And it's because they're waking up to the violence and the rhetoric and the fact that every single issue the Democrats, they have gone so far down into the pit that they are on the wrong side of every issue. The transgender issues, school choice, parents' rights. They are on the wrong side of everything nowadays. And this just was maybe not the final nail, but it was a nail in their coffin. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of moderate Democrats flipping now. I'm even hearing rumors of it. I don't expect them, I wouldn't expect the moderates, the reasonable Democrats to leave their parties, but I would expect them to start, okay, we're going to tone it down, and some of them may end up voting Republican.
I think some of them already
in the midterm,
did.
Right? And the young people are saying, the Gen Z, we're done with the millennials. The millennials are a lost cause, but the Gen Zs are not in the Democrats' court the way they think they are. Right. They are not as indoctrinated as they think they made them through the Department of Education, which we're getting rid of.
Right. So, and you're still seeing, you're still not going to see on college campuses, especially I think here in New Hampshire, a large number of them, because they're still really scared to stand up and say something, so they're getting there, but there's still a majority of, I'm not ready to do this yet because I'll get canceled by my teacher, because they're professors and all that. I've heard this from students I've been visiting some campuses. I was at UNH for Charlie's Vigil a few weeks ago. I was at St. A's a little bit ago, and they're still scared to say they support Charlie or they stand for certain things. So, but I can see them slowly getting there, but it might take a little bit.
I think I don't know if it's scared or just a fear of being accepted.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you come out and you say something that all of your peers disagree with, then you're the black sheep, right? And I think that's what it is with especially the young folks, because they're not going to get canceled from their jobs. They're not going to lose their jobs. They're not going to get thrown out of class for speaking up. Yeah. But they may be ridiculed, right? They may be isolated as students. But I think the Gen Zs are not as thin-skinned as the others, and are not as indoctrinated as the others.
Agreed. Yeah,
and so it's going to change.
Yeah, because their parents, I heard that their parents are all like the Reagan era.
Oh yes.
Voters. So they're carrying that down as best they can, which is awesome. I mean, I was on your show several times, and back from the beginning, what I've been called. So I've been called all the fascist, the racist, the Christian nationalist. That's a favorite one. So anyone that has any kind of faith in their lives, they just put in this Christian nationalist, whatever that is.
Well, that started. I blame Obama for that.
Yeah.
I blame Obama for that because of one speech he made where he said that when Republicans get scared, they cling to their Bibles and their guns. Right. That was his. He put us all into a single bucket. Saying that all we do is cling to our Bibles and our guns.
Like and so
they've taken that and they've used that as, they think that's their rallying cry. Yeah. And what has it turned into? Right? It's turned into these church shootings, church fires, all of those things. All of the things that they're targeting conservatives, but these are the things. What Biden at one point said, "Yeah, I remember growing up, and I remember all the church fires and whatnot." Yeah, you're remembering the wrong side here, buddy. Yeah, it's the Christians who are under attack and have always been under attack. Well, I don't want to Jews as well, right? I mean, it's anyone in the Judeo-Christian faith, right? Yep. And the fact that the last one, we won't even go there.
Yeah. So I just think that's how we move forward. Is we remember, keep Charlie's memory and what he fought for at the forefront. So even now, like you'll probably hear me say at the end of everything I do, like for Charlie. So I just have to keep reminding myself. I don't necessarily feel like doing this today, but I'm going to. Because it's for Charlie. Like, this is what he wanted us to do here in New Hampshire. So
break it down for us, because even I'm a little fuzzy on how Turning Point breaks down. We've got Turning Point USA and we have Turning Point Action. You work for Turning Point Action. Turning Point USA is geared towards targeting the students. Yeah. So is Turning Point USA, are these the ones that are going into college campuses, the ones that were at Dartmouth? Yeah. And so they're bringing all of those folks in?
Yeah, they're starting chapters.
And so there's university chapters?
Yes, and high school.
Okay, so are these akin to political action clubs like the Young Republicans and things like that?
Yeah, okay. They're clubs, Yep. And so like the latest one that I mean, I'm not involved in that. I'm a state rep as well. So I actually was visiting St. A's in my state rep role, and I heard they had told me that they were going to be starting up a chapter, a TPUSA chapter, with an employee of TPUSA that works in New Hampshire. So they were going to be starting up, and by the end of the day I had heard that had happened. So that was really neat, and they're just, you can see them popping up everywhere now. I think NHTI is the latest one. But yeah, so there is a girl, Grace, who works for Turning Point USA in New Hampshire, and she's a busy girl, and she's moving around to, any students that want to get a chapter going in their high school or university, she's meeting with them and guiding them through how to do that.
That would be a bigger win. I mean, high schools having a TPUSA chapter. We don't have any in New Hampshire.
We do. Oh, yeah.
At the high school level?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's been posting on that Facebook page. She just posted a screenshot of all the ones that have just popped up in the last week. Yeah. So I think like Pinkerton might be on the edge of one. I think they need like a minimum of 3 people.
Teachers are being targeted and being told, don't sponsor these clubs.
I'm sure they are. So, but that's not going to stop that. So I'm Turning Point Action. And what do these? What differentiates the two? Obviously, we're getting a message out using both of these avenues. But what's the? So TPUSA. So they're the educational arm of Turning Point. They're the 501c3. So they're educating, getting into schools, all of that. So I'm Turning Point Action, which is the 501c4 arm. So we are political activists, and so we can go out and we'll visit different committee meetings. And
so like a lobbyist, sort of?
No, because we don't do any lobbying on like bills or anything like that. We're really just mobilizing grassroots activists. So I'm a big grassroots girl. I started that back when I first ran for office. Didn't have anything, didn't have this big plan. It was just this grassroots mobilizing. I think that because I didn't know what I was doing, so I was like, oh, let's try this and build relationships with people. And that's a big thing about the difference of how Turning Point does it versus other organizations is it's building political relationships. So a lot of times when you meet people at events, it's kind of like a one and done thing. It's, I really want to get involved, and then boom. But and then no follow up after. This is like building relationships with people that are ready to engage at a high level in our state, and then working with them to start building what we call at Turning Point coalitions. So you're going to start seeing coalitions pop up now on the Turning Point Action level. So examples of coalitions, faith coalitions, Gen Z coalitions. There's already a Healthy Americans coalition which my colleague Davis has started up. A moms or a women's coalition. So I have some meetings in the next few weeks with people who are ready to take this ball and run with it. So what coalitions will do is they are going to just large groups of people that are focused around a common issue, and so they're going to start meeting together. They have boards, a chair, a vice chair, secretary, all of that. So they're going to meet together as a board and then start planning events scheduled around moms, women's, Gen Z, whatever, and try and build out these coalitions to large groups of people that meet together regularly around a common issue. But then when it comes to election time, we are going to mobilize those coalitions into what we call a super chase or ballot chasing efforts. So you're going to see us next year, 2026, really start moving and getting these coalitions out to help people get out the vote. And we are going to, chase after low propensity voters. So voters that haven't gotten their votes out in the last 2 to 4 midterm elections. And so there's a strategy
are difficult.
They are very difficult.
Hampshire.
Yeah. So But this strategy has worked in so many other states. In Arizona, they're doing it so well. I truly believe Andy Biggs will be Arizona's next governor because of what.
Let's hope.
Because of what's happening, and just the grassroots efforts happening, and so that's why I think this just fits in so well with what I'm already doing. You know, I love the networking. I love getting out and meeting people and talking to them about what they choose to do in volunteering and everything, how it matters and it's going to matter, and how important it is that we keep motivated because midterms are tough. But we can't lose what we have in the House, on the Senate. Can't lose that because we've done some incredible things, and but you know, I can just help with that. So you know, keeping these worlds separate is this balance that I'm doing, but I think I'm slowly finding my groove. But what happened to Charlie definitely shook us up a little bit, and definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you were only there for 2 weeks.
Yes, if
at the time.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing that went through your head had to be, what happens to Turning Point now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, a lot of times when a leader is dies or whatnot, you know, it's kind of a devastation for that organization, and everybody closes up shop.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it sounds like everybody's doubling down. We hear the stories of you know, over 100,000 people querying Turning Point, say, hey, I want to start a chapter, I want to do this, right? And everybody, and you know, that alone must have been overwhelming. I mean, I don't know what their headquarters look like, but if they had a switchboard, I mean, you wouldn't be able to field all those calls.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you've got to organize that. Okay, you know, 500 people from New Hampshire called me. I need to, you know, the idea is to get them in communication with each other. So somebody's got to organize those people. And then, another few hundred people called from Massachusetts. Okay, let's find somebody to organize those people and get all those names out there. I mean, it must have been an administrative nightmare. It probably still is.
It still is. It still is, because it is, like you said, we're trying to do a lot of things all at once, including engaging people quickly when they sign up that they're interested. We've been visiting different committees throughout the state regularly. Like Davis and I pretty much were at an event every single day. We have been telling people, you are going to get sick of seeing our faces because we are going to be everywhere. And because we just want to start engaging people because they're ready to be engaged right now. And so, the first thing I actually thought about when it happened to Charlie, I thought about his family at first and foremost, because I couldn't comprehend how even they move forward, you know. And then secondly, it was, wow, like, he's the face of all of this. What happens? And you go through this horrible grief stage of just not even being able to function, I think most of us. And a lot of people I saw in my sphere and beyond were coming to me when we were going to vigils and stuff, and they were just devastated and crying. And this was a week later even. They're like, Lisa, why do we feel like this about someone we have never even met? And it's because he had a voice that we all resonated with.
Right, and we've had those in the past, right? I mean, he died of complications from cancer, but when Limbaugh passed, that was devastating. I listened to him from the day he went national, when he was syndicated nationally, and I was 17, and I listened to him right up until the end, right? And so that he was a voice, and he was very articulate, and he was right most of the time, 99.8% of the time. What was it he used to say? So when you lose a voice like that, it's hard, right? For me, it was Rush, right? Because I had spent 25 years, 30 years listening to this man.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he was gone.
Right.
Right? We've been listening to Charlie Kirk, and we've been talking about him since before the election.
Yeah.
Right? Of what a powerful voice and what a powerful influence he is on conservative youth. And then it's gone. I mean, I was in tears too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
abruptly gone.
Yes.
Yeah, there was no lead up to it.
Right.
We knew Rush was sick. Like you, my dad just loved Rush. I loved Rush. Charlie loved Rush. Was one of his heroes, and yeah.
And you know, we've seen the memes. Martin Luther King, RFK, JFK. You know, because that's what this felt like. This felt like the '60s assassinations.
Yeah.
Right. You know, somebody is speaking, but you've seen the memes. You don't get shot and killed for political speech if you're not telling the truth.
Yeah.
You don't get shot for lying.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, even the day Trump was shot, I remember.
You don't get shot for not being influential,
Yeah.
for not being effective.
Right. That's why Trump was shot too. And I remember the moment where we heard Trump had been shot, and we didn't know what had happened to him yet. And I remember those moments. I was actually out on a boat and remember like trying to rush home as soon as I could because I didn't know. And I was actually going into like panic mode of what I was, you know, assuming what do we do now? And
we have the other side, our friends on the other side of the aisle, desperately trying to frame all of this as MAGA violence.
Yep.
All of it. It's every single time.
Yep.
And the facts prove it out. It's never a MAGA. It
Right.
has never been a MAGA. Even this last one, we've got photos of him. They're legitimate photos of him wearing a Trump 2020 shirt in 2019. I don't even remember the fellow's name. It's not worth saying his name. But we also have donation records showing that he's donating to Act Blue and all of these Democrat PACs in the last couple of years. And but they're still saying, oh, he was hardcore Trump, hardcore MAGA. What we see here is a transformation of somebody that he has been indoctrinated into the liberal mindset, which is exactly what they wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
And so they were successful with this man and his family.
Yeah.
Successful to the point where he actually carried out an atrocious act against Christians and conservatives.
Yeah.
And so, but they still want to cloud all of this violence and say that it is MAGA and it's because we advocate the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
And that is the most disgusting part of all of this.
Yeah.
Is that they're trying to gaslight us into believing a lie. It's just more and more. They're doubling down every single time this happens.
And pressuring us to repeal the gun laws that we have in place. And I'll tell you, that is not going to happen. If anything, like we're going to double down on that too, because we all know it's not.
Can you imagine if we go that route?
Yeah. Nope.
Because over in Europe, they're having knife control laws, knife control.
Canada,
discussions.
where I come from.
Australia just outlawed. It was one state, and I think it's Perth. Just outlawed machetes and had a machete turn. You're living in Australia. You need that machete for bushes and snakes and alligators, and they're outlawing machetes because of a couple of bad actors. Right? They've already outlawed guns, and so they're having a machete collection. And if you didn't turn it in by a certain date, well, they're going to come and they're going to go farm to farm and start arresting people. And then what's going on in Canada? They're having a voluntary gun buyback. Well, there's nothing voluntary about it because when the gun buyback ends, they're going to walk around and start arresting everybody. So there's nothing voluntary about, and so they're desperately trying to put these words in there to make it sound like society's doing the right thing. No. We can look at history Open a history book. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to trust me. I've said it a million times. Do your own research. Open a history book. There is no point in history where government confiscates guns and then the population is safe. There is always government confiscates guns, and very shortly after, government goes on genocide, right?
Yep.
You confiscate the Jews' ability to defend themselves in Germany in 1938 and 1939, and what happens? 6 million die at the hands of the government.
Yeah.
Every time the government outlaws the ability to self-defense, they come back after you and they start. That's not going to happen here.
Think about how close we were to that, though. Like, what if Kamala would have gotten in? We'd be where they all are now. So we were on the tipping point of all of that.
And all
crazy.
I can say is thank God that Trump got in there and started moving as fast as he could.
Yes.
Right? He had his 4 years where he learned a few things. He did a few things in the bad manner. He had a 4-year break to plan, and then he just hit the ground running like no president has ever hit the ground running before. And he's still going. And
we're going to hopefully get JD next. So we're in it for the long run here, and I really think New Hampshire can flip to JD moving forward too. So I'm just going to help make it happen in whatever level I can. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing in the State House. Hey, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so let's talk about the State House. So we talked about it before. You were very successful. I mean, it was fabulous. You got three?
Three, yeah.
You got 3 bills through.
Yeah.
And they were all very important bills that the Democrats are very firmly on the wrong side of.
Well, right to try, they actually were okay on.
And all 3 of them had trouble once they got to the Senate.
Yeah.
But we had some crossover negotiations, and we got them all through, and Ayotte signed them all.
She did.
And so we got some good stuff.
Yeah.
But there's some new news.
Yeah. I just found this out yesterday.
There's some unexpected repercussions. There are unintended consequences to a lot of things that we do in life.
Yeah.
But we've got an unintended consequence to one of your bills that almost didn't make it through. Yeah,
it actually did almost get killed in the Committee of Conference. And just miraculously were able to get it through. And it's the right to try. It was HB 701, the right to try bill, which New Hampshire already did have a small little right to try thing going. But this really expanded it. So much so to make it right up on par with like Montana's right to try bill, which is the #1 in the nation. So this bill puts us right up there with allowing patients with diagnosed terminal illnesses to access experimental treatments. And so it removes some civil liability from the doctors and just a lot of stages that you used to have to go through that you don't anymore.
Is that the primary reason, like the civil liability, is that the primary reason why doctors won't prescribe experimental stuff?
100%.
And insurance companies sure as heck won't cover it.
And so the only people, we had 100 people come and testify in support of the bill. The only ones that didn't, one was a trial lawyer. So if that tells you anything of how that bill was supported, that tells you a lot. But regardless, I am thankful to Governor Ayotte. She loved the bill. She thought it was great for New Hampshire. And so, yes, we passed it. And then soon after, a few weeks later, we had some of my colleagues, State Rep, actually Steve Kesselring here in Manchester, he was a huge advocate. I don't think actually the bill could have passed even without his help. He was on my Committee of Conference and was just a huge champion of this. So he organized a biotech summit in Manchester with the mayor and had all these biotech companies come in, which I was able to be a part of. And it was so fascinating. And this is the side of the legislative process that you don't don't get to experience of the ramifications of your bill
Right,
in
the
a
bill
good
goes
way.
through, and now everybody wants to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and so now all these biotech companies were around the table from all over the country and even the world for that matter. We're all sitting around this table together, and they are excited about New Hampshire now and the potential, because think how close we are to Boston and all, the
medical community.
Yeah, the cutting edge, all of that, right there in Boston, so close. And then the nice little live free or die state that we have going here, and awesome tax laws and everything that benefits businesses is compare us to every other New England state, and you can't, and they know it. So we are this little shining light of awesomeness in New England, and they see it, and especially with this law now being passed, is they now have opportunities in our beautiful little state that they hadn't had just a few months ago. So I heard, when I was around that table, I heard a potential revenue, they were throwing out $7 billion in revenue coming into our state because
That's incredible.
Okay, I thought so too, and I was blown away. Well, yesterday I was at this event, and one of my state rep colleagues spoke up and he said, everybody, because they were celebrating that bill last night at this event, and he says, I got news. We were just in our Ways and Means Committee today in the State House, and this bill was brought up, and we are looking at $136 billion now. That number just exploded.
Of just revenue flowing through New Hampshire.
Yeah, because of these companies that now want to work in and invest in our state.
Well, if you think about it, right, if New Hampshire has this right to try, and it's a very liberal right to try.
Yes.
And we're close to all of that medical technology in Boston.
Yeah.
These companies are now free to start operating, maybe even lobbying doctors and hospitals, saying, hey, these treatments are available to your patients.
Yeah.
And the liability is gone for you.
Yes.
You can treat your patients, and you can promise them, you can tell them that we've got promising new technology.
Yeah.
That's going to bring an influx of scientists, chemists, the drug companies, obviously, and we know from the COVID days that the drug companies are billions and billions of dollars a year each, building their own facilities, creating their own facilities, because it's all got to happen in New Hampshire. The right to try doesn't extend to the other states. So everything has to happen in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Because it's our laws.
Yeah.
And so they have to exist in New Hampshire and maybe even build new cancer research centers, right? Diabetes research centers, right?
Yeah.
Neurological diseases, MS.
Yeah. There's a company
MDS,
called, I think, Epibone, who create.
So they have to create their new research centers for these new right to try drugs.
Yeah, and not only
they have to do them all here. So I mean, we're talking, like you said, billions of dollars of investment into New Hampshire because of one bill.
Yeah, and I mean, I was excited about the bill and the lives it would save. I didn't even really think of the income part of it. Actually, that wasn't really on my radar at all when I was pushing this bill through. I just, there's two former representatives that we named the bill after, and so I wanted it to pass for them and all the people just like them that are in a nightmare right now and don't know where to go and what else to do, and that this could save so many future lives. So that's why I did it. I didn't even think of the money part of it. But when I heard that yesterday, you should have seen me. I was sitting at the table when he said that, and my mouth dropped open and I started crying, because you don't realize what you go through the process and you're trying to just get through it. And it was like I had 3 bills and they were rough. It was rough. So all of them really burnt me out hard. And so that you almost don't even want to talk about them again after, because it's just been a year of But when I heard that, and I wasn't expecting that news, it just, wow, okay, that's why you're doing it, Lisa. That's why you got to keep doing it. So it was just a bam, okay, this is why you're submitting the bill that you are next year.
It seems like it's the opposite of most bills, because we've talked about it before. When you introduce a bill into the legislature, the bill, you're trying to change a process. You're trying to change a law. You're trying to create a law.
Repeal.
And what happens is everything has a cost.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you're going to do bail reform, okay, well, if you set bail at $0 for everybody, your no cash bail reform, which is what we currently have, you're losing some revenue, right? There's money that was coming in to certain departments, right? Or maybe bail reform's the wrong idea, but it's going to cost the state something to administer it. You create a new law, a new regulation, somebody has to enforce that regulation, which means somebody has to be paid to enforce that regulation, which means that regulation is now costing somebody money, right? And so every bill has to go through a finance committee.
Not every bill. Well, only if it has an FN note on it.
Right. Yeah. So every bill that has some kind of finance associated, right, has to go through, and we have how are we going to pay for this bill?
Exactly.
How are we going to pay to enforce this law?
Yeah.
Whereas you've introduced a bill that had nothing associated with it. It was between the patient, the doctor, and the insurance company and the lawyers.
Right.
Right. And it had nothing to do with the state having to dish out money for this, other than to say that it's okay that we allow this in New Hampshire to save lives.
Yeah, removing regulations.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the idea that this was actually going to generate revenue wasn't even on the radar. That's just amazing. And never mind the amount of revenue that it looks like it's going to be generating.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just mind-boggling to me. So we, thankfully, this is the cool part of it too, is now there's other legislators now that are taking the ball from that bill and running with it. And there's several bills being introduced in 2026 that are a runoff of it to even make it even better. And so I'm excited about that. There's just so much potential that this created, and it opened so many doors that I didn't see coming.
It's incredible, and it's great that that's happened.
It's
Lisa,
very exciting.
Thank you for coming. We're out of time already.
Thanks for
again.
having me. Yeah, goes so fast.
And we'll see you, everybody, next week.